It's like the pool guy came over and he replaced our motor, our filter pump motor. We had a new filter pump motor installed, and then it was defective. So he came back and replaced and put a new motor, and it's like a lot of money, right? So I'm like, how much is this for the labor to come back out here? And he's like, oh man, nah, don't worry about it. It's all good. You don't got to pay me nothing. Like, so a lot of people are like that. They don't allow themselves to receive money, and you need to allow yourself to receive money, or you're being a people pleaser. Or if you have an opportunity to charge somebody and you don't, then if that's constant, then there's something going on there, right? You got to allow yourself to elevate. Now, once in a while, you could, of course, do stuff for free if you feel like it's a good thing. I mean, I'm a giver. I'm very generous. I want to give. I believe you have to give in order to receive, and that this is a game of giving and receiving. This says it in the Bible. But as a business, a lot of times when you charge, those clients that you're charging will get far better results than if it's for free. I mean, I get far better results when I'm selling something versus giving something away for free, because people automatically in their mind discount it off because they feel like it's free. It must be free for a reason. It must not be very good. Everything that's good costs money. So why is it? And that's what a lot of people think. So they discount off free. When you charge people, like if you charge people high ticket, let's say you charge them $2,500, and when they pay that, they are a lot more adamant about what it is they're receiving than they are if it's free. Like let's say you're charging $50 an hour, and then you tell your client, hey, I have this like higher level elite program that's $3,500. If you want to upgrade to that, I take on those, once in a while. It's $3,500 one-time payment. It's not for everybody, but if you're really serious about this, then I totally recommend it. You get so much more of this or that. And some people are going to upgrade and do that. Like, for example, the guy that was doing baseball lessons for my son, pitching lessons, I paid him like a lump sum amount and to elevate and be one of his best clients. This was a few years ago. And that's all. There's always that opportunity within what you're doing. And to not charge people a higher ticket, but my point is, like, whenever I've charged high ticket, people higher ticket prices, they're completely different. They're way more motivated to do the steps than they are if you gave it to them for cheap flea market prices or for free. So if you want to make more money when they show up, and they will show up, bill them. One of the best things you could do to make more money is elevate your life force. Level up your vibration, level up your energy, your enthusiasm, your just get outside yourself. Like, have you ever been like, let's say you're socializing with friends and family or whatever, and you're just kind of your normal like ho-hum self. This is how it is for me. But other times you're like in a really good mood, you're energetic, you got a lot of energy, you feel good about yourself. Maybe you've been eating healthy and working out, so you feel pretty good. And then so you are a lot more animated than you normally are, or you're have a lot more vibration or energy, or you're smiling more than you usually do. And then everyone around you changes, right? It's infectious. And it's the same thing when it comes to making money in business. Is the more energetic you are as the owner of your business, of your income, then everyone around you is impacted by that. Your vendors, your suppliers, your partners, your affiliates, your clients, your team members, your customers, everybody, right? So whenever you raise your enthusiasm, raise your life force, have more energy, have more enthusiasm about yourself, more boldness, more confidence, more courage about yourself, what will happen is people will come to you and they'll want to give you money. And when they show up, bill them, charge them. Like, for the longest time, like, the more visible, the more, out there, throwing myself out there, taking my personality and just throwing it out there and just being more visible and more public. What would happen is people would always want to meet with me for lunch, pick my brain, invite me to masterminds and all this stuff because I'm being more visible. So they want to tap into, what I'm doing. But really what I should be doing is charging these people for this, right? But that's part of it, right? So your peers, your friends and family, they're not going to treat you the same as clients would. They're like, they don't buy your stuff. Your friends and family don't buy your stuff. They want it for free, right? Or they just want to dabble in what it is you're doing because they know you. Whereas your clients is different. They're going to treat you completely different, right? So I could talk about that for a whole weekend as well. But when they show up, bill them. So I said, sorry, you're going to need to renew with me, but I'd love to have you, and help you. But in presto, the guy's like, I'm in, Eric. So this talk, I kind of shifted gears there. But the guy that was like talking about how he wanted to renew with me, but it's been a year and a half and that he didn't have the funds to invest, and gave me a sob story about, all the stuff going on in his life. And that's his story. That's not my story. That's an important thing to understand, by the way, is their story is not your story. So don't let their story become your story. Everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own life journey, their own book. But that's not your story. So if he's like, hey, I went through these personal problems and this happened to me and that happened to me, and so I wasn't able to do anything for a year and a half, but I'm back and I'm not in a good place right now. So, if you could just help me, I would really appreciate it. And then I'll pay you out of the money I make or whatever. And I'm like, no, you got to pay, right? And miraculously, they come back and they're like, okay, I'm in, I can pay, right? I just happened to find this money stuck under the seat cushions, and here's $5K or $15K or whatever, and I'm in. And that happens a lot because it's just part of business transactions, right? Like we just booked like a trip, right? And when I was talking to the people that the property management company that books out the beach houses, I'm like, hey, so this is the best deal we could get here? It's like, do I get the cool guy discount or whatever? And the lady's like, no, but if you extended a day, I could give you a discount on an extended day. So why don't you book through this date and then extend it another day, and I'll give you a big discount. And I'm like, cool. I mean, that was just because I just said that. I'll say it when I walk into a hotel. Like if I walk into the Ritz-Carlton, I'll be like, okay, we're taking the one bedroom hotel room. Well, can I get upgraded? The cool guy discount. Can I get a free upgrade? And and half the time they're like, let me look. Sure, I don't mind upgrading you for free. We have this presidential suite you guys can stay in for the night. So, like, it doesn't hurt to ask that. And I learned that from Brian Tracy many, many years ago. If you don't ask, then you don't get. But if you ask for, like, a 10% discount every time, like, half the time you get 10% discount. So, anyway, people are going to ask for that. It doesn't mean you have to give it. And then this guy used all the sob story and personal problems a lot. But that's not my story. This is my business, and this is my price. And for me to invest in you, my time and energy and wisdom and all the new stuff that we're doing, this is the price. And he came back and was willing to do it. Another thing that happens a lot of times is people will say, yeah, I just can't do that, but I can do this amount. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. Like, let's say I say it's 10K, and they're like, well, I don't have 10K. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not rich. Like, I don't got 10K, but I got 2,500. Can you take 2,500? And I'm like, so pause right there. I can either say, yes, I'll take 2,500. But then what happens is they pay 2,500 for something that's 10K. If I were to say, I'm sorry, it's 10K, I'm sorry you only have 2,500, save some money and come back to me and see if we have this open in the future. And then, but what happens is miraculously, I'm like, I'm sorry, it's 10K. I'm sorry you don't have enough money. Best of luck to you. And then they come back like, well, I might try to find it, try to borrow it or whatever, sell my couch. And then all of a sudden, like 10 minutes later, they're like, guess what? I found a credit card. It's stuck in my drawer, and I'm now able to get it. It's just part of the game. Okay, so, but as a marketer or a business person or entrepreneur or a professional expert, whatever you do, then understand that this is costing you money if you're being a people pleaser. So don't do that. It happens a lot. I see it all the time, and it costs a lot of people not only money, but it costs them their dreams or their goals for how much they want to make, because somewhere in their subconscious mind, they're sabotaging reaching the higher level. So again, this is the translation. It wasn't, no, Eric, I can't invest. I'm flat broke. Dog died. Goldfish left me, blah, 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 to I'm in, Eric. The translation is, okay, here's what happened. I tried. So now let me send the money instead of attempting to get something for nothing or something for really cheap. So I could talk about all this stuff for hours. I'm sure one or two people are getting huge benefits from all this that I'm sharing with you, especially the winners. But the people that are like consumers, and they think of it from a consumer mind, because you're either a buyer or you're a seller. in this game. You're either a buyer mindset or you're a seller mindset. So you're either the person that's looking to buy stuff and buy your way to success. And so you're looking at me as a seller and you're a buyer and you're like, I don't know if I want to buy from this Eric guy. He's a little cocky. Texas. I don't like people from Texas. Like whatever, right? So people like that are thinking from a buyer perspective. But if you're thinking from a seller perspective, you're a seller and I'm a seller. We both sell stuff. We both make money. Then it's completely different conversation. It's how do we make more money? How do we, save more time? How do we build a team? How do we run ads? How do we create an irresistible offer? How do we, on the back end upgrade people? Like it's a completely different way of looking at things. And those people are the ones that get the most out of what I teach, because I'm not teaching to consume. I'm teaching to sell, baby. Just sell, baby. Like, let's talk about making money. If that lights you up, then you got the right guy here. If you're offended by sales and capitalism and profits and making money and rich fat cats and all that, then you already left a long time ago anyway. So let me give you reasons. This is good. You pay attention to this. Let me give you reasons why I believe money flows to you or away from you. So there's people, I've been coaching people for over 20 years to make money online. 20 years, 2 big old fat decades. And I can tell you that there are these things that people do that makes them money. And there's these things they do or don't do that makes them fail. And I want to give you some of these right now to help you move the needle and, scale up and level up and go to the next income spot. So let me give these to you, okay? This is also the resistance. The resistance. Fears. Fears are the big thing. Fears. Have faith. Fear not. In this life you'll have trouble. God provides. But fears are what dominates people's actions. So like fears of ridicule. If you want to make a lot of money, become immune to ridicule. You can become immune to flattery too. It goes both ways. But if you're immune to judgment, immune to ridicule as best you possibly can, it's not easy, then you don't care what anyone says, right? Like sometimes in life, you just have to have an I don't give a bleep attitude. Like I don't care what Ricky Bobby thinks, Aunt Jenny, Mommy, Daddy, Uncle Bobby. Like you don't care what any of these people think. You're just going to do you. You're just going to go for it, right? Like you're just going to put it in overdrive and just slam on the gas and let's go. Like let ridicule bounce off of you. Have skin like a rhinoceros, thick skin, dinosaur skin, where all that judgment could just go away. Like if you look at celebrities, or even politicians, and they'll post something like on Twitter or something, or X, whatever we want to call it, and then all of a sudden they just get absolutely hammered by comments, and people just ripping them apart. And celebrities get the worst of it too. You could be like a little baby, right? Like you could have a baby and you're a celebrity and you post a picture, and people will rip that poor little baby to shreds. Oh, what an ugly baby! It looks like a dinosaur or whatever. And all those comments, it's like, God, those celebrities just take that? Well, they're used to it. They've developed thick skin to let the judgment bounce off of them, because anytime they're visible, people are going to take shots at them just because they're celebrities. But if you could get rid of the fear of ridicule and become as immune to that as you possibly can, you will succeed so much more. This is where money flows. Money flows to people who they don't give a damn. They don't care about ridicule. They're immune to ridicule, right? They don't care if they're being annoying. Just, hey, the more annoying you are, the more money you make. It's really quite interesting. So fears of ridicule. Like if I'm emailing my list and doing a bunch of visible stuff and people are reaching out and they're like, dude, you emailed me too many times today, or I'm seeing you too much of you or whatever, I'm just going to unsubscribe and click away. I'm like, oh, it's working. In other words, I'm being larger than life. I'm being visible. I'm being omnipresent. Maybe I'm being annoying, but it's generating more cash, and it's getting rid of the people who are just sucking up air, right? They're just taking up space and getting down to the nitty gritty of the people who really do resonate with me or who resonate with you in this position. You see what I'm saying? Another one is fears of rejection. A lot of people are so afraid of rejection that it cripples them becoming successful. So they don't want to be rejected when it comes to sales, or they don't want to be rejected when it comes to hiring someone, or rejected when it comes to any part of this business, recruiting affiliates, or anytime someone says no or rejects us, or even if like you make a post on social media and people don't respond to it, that's a form of rejection. So fears of rejection are big. Fears of failure, I mean, that's huge. I mean, so many people are so afraid to fail. I mean, you fail your way to success. I failed 3 times yesterday and twice today already this morning. Life is failure. You're just going to fail all the time. You just shrug it off and keep going. You just dust yourself off and get back on the horse and keep going, keep charging, okay? Every day is a game of failure and success, failure and success. One moment you're on top of the mountain, the next moment you're down in the valley trying to climb back up the next mountain. Failure is just part of the game. Failure is just the opportunity to do it again, but more intelligent the second time around or the next time around. Failure is just an opportunity to do it again, but more intelligent this next time around. You learn from your mistakes. Like, I think it was Ferrari. I love this story. They would, the engineers and all them would take the Ferrari engine and put it up on a plank, and they would attach all their instruments, and they would turn that thing on full blast. So the Ferrari engine's going 260 miles an hour. There's no car, just the engine, and they have all their devices and instruments attached to it, and they would walk off and leave while this engine's going full max speed, 260 miles an hour, while it's pumping oil and gas through the engine, and they're waiting for the thing to break. And as soon as the engine breaks, they come running back all excited to see why it broke. So they could try to fix the little piece that ended up failing so they can make it better and better and better and better and better. And that's the same way with your business. Is you want to look for the places that break, collateral damage, if you will. What are the parts that are breaking, and let it fly, let it hum, and then fix those little pieces that are broken to continue to iron out the wrinkles, cross the T's, dot the I's, get your ducks in a row with your business to continue making it better and better and better. But it's never going to be a masterpiece, and it's certainly not going to be a masterpiece out of the gates. So if you're going to run an agency, if you're going to run a law firm or a business, out of a coaching program, at the very beginning, you're just getting started. So there's going to be some collateral damage. There's going to be some clients that aren't getting the full dose of what you can provide because you're just getting going, and that's okay. You got to be willing to do that and willing to fail at the beginning to get your business dialed in to make it successful in the future. Long-term thinking. Fears of sales. It's huge. That's why I have the moniker, Just Sell, baby. Because I talk to people for 20 years, and I'm like, you know what's going on here? Let me put on my guru master wisdom hat here, my wizard hat, and let me just diagnose what's going on here for you. The reason you're not making any money is you're scared to death chicken of sales. You're scaredy cat. You're scared of sales. And therefore, there's no money coming in because nobody's doing any selling. Nothing happens on planet Earth unless someone's sold. It may not be trading money. It could be, no one would get married if they weren't doing any sales, right? Even a little toddler selling you and giving them candy or letting them jump on the swimming pool. It's sales is a part of human existence, life. And the better you are at getting this taken care of in your business, the better you are going to be at making money. So even if you suck at sales and you hate sales, you don't want to do sales, you don't want to touch it, you don't want to look at it, no, I don't even want to think about sales, then you best get somebody in your organization to do the sales. I'll even partner up with people in my business, my partnership clients, and I'll do the sales for them so they can get paid. And when I started doing that years ago, lo and behold, oh my gosh, people started making money who had never been able to make money. I'd get people that haven't made money in 10 years. And I'm like, well, I'll do the sales calls for you and we'll split the income. You just generate leads through the funnel. I'll get you all set up. We'll work together. I'll coach you. I'll handle the sales. And they're like, where do I sign up? They would sign up, pump leads to it. So all of a sudden they made $4,000. I mean, my first $4,000 I've ever made. It's been 10 years, Eric. It's because I did the sales. Sales was missing. It's like trying to drive a car without an engine. I don't know why this car is not going anywhere. Maybe because it doesn't have an engine. Like, I can't drive this car. I'm trying to get to Walmart. It's not going because you don't have an engine, bro. You need an engine. So fear of sales, fear of success. This is a deep-seated one that most people don't even realize. If you're successful, maybe some people won't like you no more because you're too successful, and they're poor, and they're used to being poor and speaking poor and acting poor, and you're part of them, and they don't want you to be rich because then you're going to make them look bad, or they're going to ask you for money, and that's uncomfortable, and you don't want to be driving around in a really nice, awesome car and living in a $1 million house when they're living in a trailer. That's enough. Like they would say that a lot of women polled or surveyed said that one of the reasons deep down inside they didn't want to lose a bunch of weight is because they felt bad about their female friends who were all overweight too, and they wouldn't like them anymore because now they're, lost weight and they're sexier. And I was like, wow, really? So fears of success are huge, and a lot of people don't realize that. So fear of success means you could have to change your identity. This happens with people that win the lottery. They'll end up moving completely away from their friends and family. Like, they'll be like, we grew up in Kentucky, but we're moving to California. It's the place you want to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly, or they get out of Dodge, get out of town because all the friends and family are just driving them insane. Fears of loss of friends, family, that kind of goes together. I talked about that. Fears of change of identity, talked about that too. Fears of work and time and overwhelm. This is a big one. Well, if I do all that, man, I'm going to be so busy. I'm not going to have time for my friends at the bowling alley. If I'm making a milli, I ain't going to have no time to go hunting with Rick and Bobby and Jared Jeff. If I'm making a milli, that means I'm working like 80, 90 hours a week, and I'm tired. I'm worn out. My business wears me out, so I don't want to work that hard. Or I don't want all that responsibility and overwhelm. That sounds hard. I didn't realize it was going to be this hard. Like, it's just going to be so much work and so much time and so much responsibility, and just like, I don't know if I want to do that to make money. I like my life. It's all BS, okay? It's all an illusion. It's all the crap we say to ourselves. We think that if we're going to make more money, that we're going to have more work to do. It's the opposite. We think if we're going to make more money, we're overwhelmed. It's the opposite. You know what's overwhelming? Not being able to pay your friggin' bills. You know what's overwhelming? Not being able to go on vacation. You know what's overwhelming? Is your car is too old, you need a new one, you can't afford it. You know what's overwhelming? All that stuff. Got to pay for your kids to go to college, can't afford it. That's overwhelming. The responsibility, are you kidding me? It's less responsibility because you're just making sure everyone else is responsible for what they need to do. It's completely counterintuitive, and most of business is counterintuitive. That's why 7% are the only ones who own a business, and 93% can't handle work, time, and overwhelm. They're like, well, I have a full-time job, and I got to travel in traffic every day. I don't have the bandwidth or the energy or the stamina to do this stuff on the side. Well, then just keep your job and stop messing around with this then. You're just wasting your time. At some point, you have to decide that you're going to do extra. Like, I also learned that back in the old days, like when I had a day job, is the first 40 hours of your week is just to maintain what you have. Anything above and beyond 40 hours is when you're growing and making more money and becoming more successful, priming the pump. So fears of pressures, financial pressures, responsibilities, all of that is all part of business, is all part of being an entrepreneur. It's part of the game, yet those are too scary for most people, so they run for the hills with their tail between their legs, yapping like a little dog, bark, 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 up into the hills because they're so worried about these pressures. These pressures are a given in life, man. What if you lose your job, right? Like, there's all kinds of things that can happen. You're either in a crisis, about to go into a crisis, or just came out of a crisis when it comes to business. So again, these fears are what cripple people from becoming successful and moving forward and making things happen. Fears of selling, I already said that. That's a big one. Fears of money, cash, self-worth, worthy, all of that. Whenever you're worried about your self-worth or your self-worth is too low, that could be enough to prevent you from succeeding. Like, you have to look at yourself and be like, this is who I am, and this is what I'm aspiring to be, and that should propel your self-worth to go up, 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 up. Like if you're working with me, one of the things that's going to naturally happen is your self-worth is going to go higher because you got to look at yourself a certain way. Like I say a lot of times people are in a jar, right? Like you live in a jar and you can't read the label on the outside of the jar because you're in the jar. Well, I could read the outside of the label. I could see it because I'm outside your jar. I'd be like, look, we're going to do this right here. You're going to make a bunch of money. You're going to be successful. And then all of a sudden your self-worth is just like, yeah, man, that's right. And you start going up, 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 right? And as far as your self-worth. And that's what it takes to make money. This is where money flows to people who get over this fear of making more money. And like people say, if I make more money, I have to pay more taxes. No comment on that one. But if you make more money, there's a lot of more power that you have. Okay, so making more money, higher self-worth, being worthy of allowing yourself to make that money. You're like, I don't know why I'm making all this money. I don't deserve all this money. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Why not make more? Why not make as much as you can? Let's see how good you can become. So here's what it takes. Here's who I want on my team coming into battle. Like, let's say we're going to battle because life's a battle. It's a spiritual war going on. It's a renewing of the mind each day. And business is a battle. It's a game also. It's a battle, right? So if I want someone on my team in the trenches with me, here's the person I want on my team, okay? It's not skills. I don't want skills. Skills help, but I don't need skills, talents, abilities. That's not who I'm looking for on my team, right? There's tons of people out there that have lots of skills and abilities and talents, and they're dead flat broke. They're not doing a damn thing with all the skills and abilities that God gave them. They may have a lot of wisdom, too. There's a lot of people I come across, and they're like, they know way more about AI or anything than I'll ever know about stuff. And I'm like, cool, what are you doing with that to make money? They have wisdom and experience and knowledge and charisma, or they're really good looking, or contacts, or all this stuff that they have. And they ain't doing diddly, jackwagon squat with all that. So don't give me that. That's great that you have that stuff. It helps. But it's not the key. It's not the key to being successful. I know a lot of really, really smart people, high IQ, heavily educated, wicked smart, broke as a joke, rock bottoming it. So, and at the flip side, I know a lot of multi-millionaires, dumb as a stump, dumb as a box of rocks. They're a crayon short of a full box, okay, mentally. Yeah, they're making millions. So that's not the key. Intelligence is not the key. Does it help? Sure, all of this stuff helps. But it is not the key. That is not who I want on my team. That is not who I want. Here's what I want. Give me the person with courage. Courage is the key to success. Courage is the key to making more and more money. Courage is the key to having a better and better lifestyle. It is courage, my friend. And right now, in our society, courage is in low supply. It's in high demand, very, very low supply. We don't have a lot of leaders going on right now. The world needs leaders. In every nook and cranny, we need some leaders. There's a whole lot of people in businesses out there that need leaders. There's a lot of law firms and attorneys and coaches and consultants and financial advisors and insurance firms and all that who need leaders in the marketing world, who need leaders in the coaching consulting world or the legal world. Courage is what is the key, because if you have courage, you're going to do all the stuff I talked about in this video, in this series. You're going to drive the traffic. You're going to drive the leads. You're going to convert the leads. You're going to get the sales covered. You're going to take care of getting your offer so dialed in that people rave about it. You're going to create an irresistible offer. You're going to level up your mindset. You're going to learn every single day. You're going to become more. You're going to take the risk. You're going to take the leap of faith. If you take the leap of faith, that's when everything changes. It creates a ripple effect. But if you never take a leap of faith and you're always a wimp and scared, hiding, running for the hills anytime an obstacle or a challenge shows up, there's no courage going on. There's no bravery going on. There's no success that's going to happen. Pretty soon, what's going to happen is the last 5 years are going to look just like the next 5 years if you don't change anything. If you want the next 5 years to look just like the last 5 years, then stay the same. Don't have any courage to try new stuff or put yourself in a more challenging position. But if you want the next 5 years to look completely different than the last 5 years, to look a whole lot better, then you're going to have to take a leap of faith. You're going to have to take courage, have some guts, and go for it. And go for this new chapter for you. And it'll fuel everything. It can fuel your whole life, your health, your business, your success, your money, your freedom, your happiness, everything. It takes faith. It takes faith. It takes faith. Faith to go for it. Faith to level up. Faith to have courage to ask that person to promote, to drive that traffic, to partner up with someone, to invest in yourself. All of that requires faith, okay? You can indeed add 10, 20, 50, even over $100,000 per month. You can indeed do that. I have seen people from all walks of life, from all around the world, that have far less abilities, skills, talents, and intelligence that you have, where English isn't even their first language. They have all kinds of disabilities, all kinds of challenges and personal issues, and they're able to do it. Teenagers even, 20-year-olds, 80-year-olds. If they could do it, you could do it, okay? It's one of those things where you make the decision to take a leap of faith. All right, this is Eric. Thanks so much for watching this series. Appreciate you being here.